Thank you, sir. It's 8:36. Good morning, everybody. And hey, look, we got another politician.
Another! Hey, John O'Connor, did you ever think that somebody would be calling you a politician?
I never did.
A candidate. You're a candidate, maybe soon to be a politician. So John O'Connor, he's in the studio. He's running to be a I always mix that up. St. Mary's County Commissioner for the northern end of St. Mary's County. But everybody gets to vote in St. Mary's County. Everybody votes for everybody. So glad to have you in. And I know a little bit about you. I've read a little bit in the paper about all the candidates.
I know this is your first go at politics. Let me give you a little bit of advice. Here's what you need to get is a trailer with a bunch of billboards on it. Oh, wait, there's one.
There's one outside.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
All right, so this is your first foray into politics. Why?
Well, I really thought it was my generation's time to step up. You know, it's what we need to do. There's leadership roles that need to be filled, and as a veteran, and I think I have the leadership skills necessary to bring that to the county.
And you're a Purple Heart recipient.
I am.
You were shot in Iraq.
I was. Yes.
And then did you immediately come home from that? You came home, or how did that work?
No, actually, I had my interceptor plates on, so it broke my rib cage, and I stayed in country, and just dealt with the broken ribs. And
that's a fun day, right?
It always is.
And you were hit by an IED, right? And you fell on the ground and smashed your face. I mean, that's what I would call it. Yeah. I'm sure there's a doctor out there who would go, well, that's a fracture but you smashed your face and broke a bunch of bones in your face, right?
Yeah, we were hit. Our truck was hit by an IED, and that messed my knee up. And then later on, we were in a firefight, and my gunner, actually, it was a curb that was pretty high, hit it, and my face slammed down into the gun that was on top, and it smashed my face down. And
So you've been in country.
So you're used to scraps.
You're used to Maryland politics.
Wait till you get politics.
I'm ready.
You're ready to go back to Iraq.
Battle tested. There you go.
So what would you like to see? I mean, if you're a county commissioner, what are the big problems that you see? I mean, I understand, our generation, because you're a young guy and you're like, yeah, let's get some. What changes for our generation do you think need to be done?
I definitely see one thing that, we have a lot of projects that are sitting there that just we're not cutting the rope on.
Like what?
Well, you look at economic development. We talk about light manufacturing. We talk about Lexington Park and what economic development zones. And we've been doing a lot of talk and a lot of planning. But when are we really going to move forward with it? One of the biggest things I see with Lexington Park, even with economic development, is who wants to bring a business down to Lexington Park and bring their family down to Lexington Park when we have such issues with crime? And
do you think there are big issues with crime in Lexington Park?
I think there's significant issues with crime in Lexington Park, and the men and women of the sheriff's office, they absolutely do the best they can. They go down there, they work hard, they have the cops unit, but sometimes it's just hard to keep up when you don't have enough people to do the job.
You think more people should be hired by St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office? We need more officers is what you're saying.
I do believe so.
Okay. Well, let me be devil's advocate here. I don't necessarily think that's a bad idea, but the knee-jerk reaction that I would have to that is, okay, if you want to hire more people, it's going to cost more. The only way to generate more revenue is somebody's going to pay more taxes.
Or cut someplace else.
Right. Yeah, and I do believe we need to take a really hard look at the budget and see where we're spending money that we don't need to. It costs anywhere from $140,000 to $174,000 to train one of these officers. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we have is turnover. People are leaving. We need to... We can stop people having to work all these long hours, all the extra overtime and everything like that by giving them the right amount of personnel to do the job. We don't need to raise taxes. There's ways to find money within the budget to adequately supply that.
What about the district that you're going to serve? I understand Lexington Park, but let's talk about the northern end of St. Mary's County. And it was funny because we had another gentleman on this week, and there is a line. St. Mary's County is an odd duck.
Yes.
There's a line. You got the northern end, and they never go down to the southern end. Southern end, we're not going to go all the way up to the northern end. It's so funny the way people view St. Mary's County, but it is like two sections. So what do you see for the northern end of St. Mary's?
Well, definitely. I lived in Lexington Park and then moved to Mechanicsville after I married my wife, so I understand exactly what you're saying. For the northern end of the county, a lot of the focus up there is the Charlotte Hall area, traffic congestion.
What do you think about the whole Metcom issue with Golden Beach? Are you familiar with that?
I'm very familiar with the Metcom issue.
What do you think about the people who say no in Metcom that says you need to get hooked up?
Well, I don't see the need that if you have a good well, you have good septic, that you should be forced into hooking up and paying all those fees. For commercial development, there's no doubt about it that if we're going to have a town center that's properly planned, that we're going to need water and sewer. You can't support a good commercial development with that, but it has to be planned so that the people up there aren't paying the price, that have lived in their homes, that have had good wells, that have paid for those wells to be dug when they bought the house to have to hook up.
Right. That I think is spot on correct. And
Charlotte Hall's a mess. I'll be honest
Charlotte
with you.
Hall is.
Listen, you get a summer day. You got a car show going on in front of the thrift store. You got the flea market open. You got Amish buggies trying to cross that, going over across St. Mary's Landing. That is a nightmare on a Saturday afternoon. So when you talk about infrastructure and planning well, how about a light there? You like the idea of putting a light there, and the rest of the week it just blinks yellow. But on Saturdays, it's a functioning light right there at that intersection near the flea market in St. Mary's Landing.
That would be great, but it's a state highway.
Yeah.
As a county commissioner, maybe these times where we get legislative ideas
absolutely.
To go, that would be something that you would support.
Yeah, and with the state highway, I've worked in depth with state highway, and part of what I do as a living is traffic studies and traffic planning. And unfortunately, they have such guidelines that you almost need a certain amount of fatalities at an accident, at an intersection just to get a light.
So when somebody says, well, somebody's going to have to die here before anything gets done,
right?
There's truth in that.
There is. Oh, absolutely. There is truth in that. Yeah.
So let's say you actually win and you start representing the area. What do you hope to achieve? What's the goals? You must have a short kind of
short list,
a political bucket list, if you will. What do you want to get done?
I want to take a look at the budget. I want to get some priorities in order. We have the library. There's a need for, they want to do construction on the library. Well, it's not adequately meeting the needs as it is now, and just redoing that library isn't going to service.
Lexington Park or the which library?
Leonardtown.
The Leonardtown Library. Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I've met with the library staff, and that's a huge thing. The library is massive here. We have the highest user in the entire state.
Yeah, tons of people use the local libraries.
We look at of course, the sheriff's office, the personnel with the sheriff's office, and then economic development is very important. I want to create jobs right here in St. Mary's County.
Right.
So those are really the top three things. And with doing all that without raising taxes, there has to...
No small hurdle.
No, it's not at all. But, if you put your mind to something and you think outside the box and you have fresh ideas and you bring those to the table, there's always a way to accomplish something.
So... taxes are off the table for you, or is it possible that there could be a tax raise? I mean, if you can't, or are you all about cutting the budget to find the money?
I'm all about trimming the fat, is how I put it, to find the money to move forward. No, I do not want to raise taxes. We are taxed enough. We're losing people out of St. Mary's County. Mm-hmm. They want to go to Virginia. They want to go to Florida. It's ridiculous. If we lose our middle class, we lose our county.
Well, you were saying earlier about your generation, and I mean you have to see it from your perspective. I'm sure you have friends who can't afford to live here anymore, or having to go somewhere else to pursue a career. It's not good. I mean, we have this big gap between people who can barely afford to live here and the people who don't stand a chance. And I don't know how you bridge that. But it's something that needs to be addressed, and I'm sure you've got friends that have gone through that.
Oh, absolutely, and I've even gone through times where I'm looking at the noodle ramen and trying to figure it out.
Right.
Even when I was a police officer, you don't make a lot of money as a police officer. You make a decent living, and if you have a family, both people are working. The kids are getting shuttled back and forth, and it gets tough. It really does, and bridging that gap is really finding the adequate jobs and putting them in place and getting them there and attracting people to St. Mary's County. I think that's one of the things that's lacking. We've talked about it and talked.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we just put this into action and see what happens?
What do you think about FDR? When is that going to be built? Well, I mean, that's a big thing that candidates for commissioner have come in. They've talked about FDR. It's been a 40-year project. Do you see light at the end of the tunnel?
I do see light at the end of the tunnel. FDR is a necessity. There's people that don't want it, obviously, and there's people that do. But we have to look at the traffic problems down there, and we're not going to motivate the state to do more than what they've already done. There's already plans in place to relieve a lot of the congestion down there. I want to look at FDR from the aspect. Now, I heard before that there's private funding. We've built pieces here and pieces there.
Right.
But that comes down to proper planning. If we have the plan in place and the county is pushing forward with it and we get the right people in, we're not going to have that piecemeal action going on. If we really commit to this and move forward, then we're going to be all right.
We got a couple minutes left here, John. What would you like potential voters to know about you as a candidate?
Well, definitely that I'm a proven leader. I've led in some of the most difficult situations that you could possibly have, people's lives on the line. I'm not afraid to stand up right in the front and make the tough decisions and be held accountable for those decisions, right or wrong. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm willing to sign my name where everybody can see. What you see is what you get. My answers are not going to change depending on what room I'm in or who I'm talking to.
Right, right.
That's it. I'm open to everyone. If you want to get in touch with me, you come on down to my shop in Leonardtown and come on in and talk to me.
So you would be taking over the seat vacated by Larry Jarbo, is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yes, definitely.
Well, listen, good luck to you, man. I hope the campaign goes well. What's your perspective on politics so far?
Since you're new to the game.
Yeah, I love it. It's a roller coaster. It's up and down. You never know which direction it's going to go.
Are you knocking on doors?
Yeah, we've done some door knocking. We've been out to a lot of events, Oyster Festival.
Oh,
We're
sure,
out there.
sure.
Definitely. Yep,
That was
yep,
a
it
good
was
time.
great.
Good time there.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, and a newlywed. So congratulations on that. What, a year
Thank
and a
you.
half?
Yes.
That's
yes.
still newlywed.
Yes,
That
it is.
is. What, 2-3 years newlywed is over and then it's hard work. But you're still newlywed. So good for you. So John O'Connor, if you like what you heard, well, November 4th. That is the day when you go into the little poll booth there. Go ahead and check his name. Thank you, John, for coming in and taking time this morning. We appreciate it.
I'm honored. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, 12 minutes in front of 9 o'clock, 8:48. Let's check the roads.